We are talking to Amy from Just Care Products this afternoon because aside from offering practical solutions for so many everyday problems, there is also a focus at the moment, Amy, on supporting people living with any form of dementia. Where did this idea come from to focus on that?
When we first took over the shop was mainly about sort of the more practical side of things. But so many people, we've had people in the shop with dementia coming in with their families, either to buy shoes or to buy different products. But also Becca, who works with me, and I have both been personally affected. Me, not in my family, but at personal friends who've had Alzheimer's and died, some who are still living with it. And both of us felt very strongly that we wanted to provide a form of what I call a dementia wall. So when people come in, we can take them to the specific place in the shop where there's lots of information about dementia and things that are practical for them to use, but also pointing them to, as they call it, what's the expression when you're pointing someone in the right direction? Signposting to the different services on the island that exist, the charities and so on. Because actually we get people occasionally, not all the time, but occasionally you come in and go, my family member has just been diagnosed with this. What do I do? And now that Becca and I are a bit more experienced, because we've been in there now about coming up to 18 months, we're sort of thinking, right, well, let's point them in the right direction. So we put the shop in a certain way, so certain things are there. Excuse my voice. But the Dementia Wall, I'm really proud of, because we asked the Alzheimer's Society to come in, and also the charity Forget Me Not to come in and tell us if there were things on the wall that would be useful for people to know about. And I have to give credit here to Becca, because she's amazing. She's my shop manager and I couldn't do without her. And she's just spent a huge amount of time just making sure it looks approachable, it looks useful, it's not like a selling point, if that makes sense. We are a shop after all. But we're there to say to people, these are the services that exist as well. So that's why we did that.
And I mean, it's a tremendously difficult time for people living with this, and I mean, you mentioned the family members, and sometimes you do just need someone that you can offload onto.
Yeah, we often have people who come in. I kind of wish we could do, and Becca will laugh at me because I know she's listening, I want to have a coffee shop where people can come in and have a chat about their day, and where different people can come in. But apparently we can't do it where we are because we would have to change the entire building. So, and I think our landlady might have a problem with that. But that is something we've always wanted, is to promote people to come in and just chat, because sometimes you just need to talk. And oftentimes when you just chat, you then discover a solution, or you might find something that, that will help, that kind of thing, you know.
So what sort of physical products have you got then that might support people in this sort of situation?
Dementia is a really interesting topic because there are so many different forms. The types of products we have, some are for some types of dementia and others are for other types of dementia. So, and I'm not an expert, so what we do have is the Alzheimer's Society coming in the second Wednesday of every month at 4:30 for about an hour to talk to people about the forms of dementia that there are, what to expect, what might happen, what might not, that kind of thing. But that's one thing I wanted to make sure I got out, was that this is starting in December, so it will be the second Wednesday, which I think is the 12th, I might be wrong. But there are things like, for example, a little alarm that if somebody opens up the fridge, the alarm will go off. So, or if somebody goes out the door, the alarm will go off. So, but you have to be a bit careful depending on the type of dementia, because the alarm might frighten them. So you can also do things like have pressure pads, so that if the person stands on the pressure pad, a pager will go off, so that the carer or family member will know themselves that somebody's either going to go out the door or has got out of bed. So you can have pressure pads that say when someone's standing up or say when someone's standing or sitting down, that kind of thing. So there's those kinds of things which are a bit more complicated, but there's so much out there and we're still finding bits and pieces. Becca is amazing at research. She just looks things up and happens to find them. I could spend hours. I never know where they are, but she does it all, you know.
So in terms of buying products from you then, what about things like delivery?
Well, depending on where you are, we tend to just, you know, if people find it difficult coming in, we will come out to them. It's not something we get asked very often because people like to come in and just check out what we've got, because we don't actually have a catalogue as such, because we've got so much stuff. We have our website, but even that isn't as good as coming in and seeing. So either family members can come in. But we don't have everything in stock that's on the website. So we did have a lovely lady who asked us for a power chair the other day. Now, we don't want to have one in the shop because there are so many different types and different specifications. So she said to me down the phone, "Why don't you have it in the shop?" she said. And I said, well, because A, they're quite expensive, so we have to buy them, and we might not sell it. So I'll get it in for you, I said. So we did, and we took it up to her, and it was perfect for her, and she bought it. But it was, you know, we will do that, but it just depends on what people's circumstances are. We'll try and work with that.
I was just going to ask about something we were talking about before we came in here. You were talking about a particular project you've got in now that it highlighted something for me I hadn't thought about, that sometimes people can't actually get out of their bed, and you've got this new product in that sort of helps with that. Yeah,
this is shameful advertising. I'm terribly sorry.
It's fascinating,
but we found out about this particular bed about 6-8 weeks ago from a residential home manager who wanted to get it in for one of her residents. And it's called an Apollo Saturn Rotate bed. It is the most fascinating thing. And what it does, we've now got it in the shop so we can show people. It literally sits you up, turns you round and stands you up. And we just are just in awe of this bed. The mattress is beautifully comfortable, and it's just one of these things that for an awful lot of people allows them to stay independent. And to us, that is key. That's why we love doing what we do. Becca and I are people. And we enjoy when someone comes in and they have a piece or buy a piece of equipment that is going to make their lives better. So we've had it where a gentleman came in and he bought a rise and recline chair. He had been frightened of sitting down on any lower chair, so a normal couch, because he couldn't get back up again. And his wife, who was quite frail herself, couldn't help him. So we got them both. They bought 2 rise recline chairs so that they can both sit in their living room and get up and not have a problem. And it's things like that that make life just, happy. But this bed, we actually sat down and worked out that if you pay for a carer, sometimes if you've got 2 carers coming in, it's because you need to have 2 people help you get out of bed because of health and safety for the carer. And I've been a carer, so I know what this is about. We worked out that if you pay a care company, I won't say how much, but it's not very much, within 3 months you've paid for the bed. By not having that carer having to come in, and because there's a shortage of carers, or good carers, it's quite important how much money and where you're spending it. So if a carer can come in, you might still need the carer to come and do, like I used to do ablutions with my lovely 92-year-old. But most of the time, you just want to have your independence. So we have a bed that's going to a gentleman in the next week or so when we get it over. And he is over the moon because it means he can get himself out of bed in the morning and doesn't need anyone to help him.